don't know, some of these people don't know whether they want the lift or not. Thank you. This way, madam.
Hello, Sharman. What are you doing here?
Mr. Corey telephoned me to be here at 7 o'clock.
Have you rung?
Yes, twice. I'm beginning to think there's no one in.
It's very unlike Mr. Corey to forget an appointment. Bell's ringing, all right. What time did he phone you?
20 minutes to 6, to be exact.
Strange. Oh, Porter.
Yes, sir.
Is Mr. Corey in, do you know?
He should be, sir. He came up over an hour ago. Don't he answer the bell?
Several times. That's why we're waiting outside a closed door.
All right. It's ringing, sir.
We're quite aware of that fact, too.
Can't be far off, sir. He's left the catch-up. Corey? Mr. Corey? Hi there, Mr. Corey. That's funny.
Was anyone with Mr. Corey when he came in?
Yes, the young lady, sir.
Oh, really?
Blimey!
He's dead.
Dead, sir? Dead? Looks like murder, sir. That's what it is. Been conked with that there brass thingamy.
Don't touch anything. Get Scotland Yard.
Yes, sir.
I shall be ill if I stay here, and...
You must stay until the police arrive.
But why? I've got nothing to do with this affair.
Oh, pull yourself together, Sharman. Wait in the hall. What are you looking for?
A telephone book, sir. I'm sure there must be one somewhere.
Whitehall 1212.
Oh, Whitehall 1212. Thank you, sir.
Oh, just a minute. That young lady you saw come in with Mr. Corey, have you ever seen her before?
No, sir. I'm sure I haven't.
Could you describe her?
I'm afraid not, sir. I only got a glimpse of her. Her back was turned to me.
All right, go on with your phoning.
Yes, sir. Whitehall 2121.
Whitehall 1212, idiot.
Sorry, sir. That's what I said. Hello? Hello? Whitehall 2121. Eh? Oh. Scotland Yard? Here, don't go away. I want you. I said 1212. I want to report a murder. What? No, not a burglar, a murder. Yes, lying here in the sitting room with his head bashed.
Could I have your autograph, please, miss?
Oh, you don't want mine. I'm not the leading lady.
Oh, go on, please, miss. You see, miss, when I can get 12 of them, I'm swapping for the leading ladies. Thank you.
Like all the stage doormen, you're bankrupt of savvy.
Perhaps so, miss. But I'm not going financially bankrupt for you or anybody else.
Good evening, Bert. Hello, Maisie.
Hello, Jenny. I hope your false teeth get an abscess on them.
Yeah, that's enough from you, miss.
Oh, look, he's made me go up the wrong stairs. Can you wonder I'm madder than a wet hen? I go to Lizette's, pick myself out 3 sets of the cutest undies that'd make a striptease act green with envy, but I haven't got much money on me, see? So I tell them to send them here COD after 7:30, but they send them before 7:30. And then that dog-eared old horse's neck refuses to take them in. So now I've got to go to Paris tomorrow and laddered Celanese. And all through that blue-nosed old...
Oh, put a stitch in this for me, Annie, will you?
Hello, slave! Hello, Maisie, you're late. Why not? This is the last time anyway.
Why, that's my coat.
Yes, and that's my peg. Hello. Lost a glove?
Oh, yes, I'm afraid I have.
Too bad, and the show coming off, too. Look, will you take that back to the jungle? Any of you Salvation Army lasses know where I can buy some undies tonight? Decent ones, mind. None of you 4 and 11 threes. What's the idea?
You're going to Paris to dance in Monte Cristo.
Oh, no. Just what are you insinuating, Goo-Goo Eyes? My glands are normal and I can look after myself.
Oh, thanks.
You don't sound very cheerful, Jenny. What's the matter? Next week's rent bothering you?
Oh, it's nothing, really.
Ah, don't be downhearted, kid. Show business may be pretty grim, but there's always the odd spot of work for a kid with your looks and brains.
Well, you're a good friend, Maisie.
No fingerprints on that.
And I'm not the least surprised. Try the cocktail glasses. All right, Porter, you needn't stay.
Thank you, sir.
For goodness sake, sit down and calm yourself, man.
Why must I remain? The inspector has good reason, sir. You may be sure of that. But I have nothing to do with it.
For heaven's sake, pull yourself together, Sharman.
Wait till my old woman sees the paper in the morning. Liftman discovers gory murder. It's all right, I'm excused.
Well, Doctor,
Fracture to the skull and hemorrhage of the brain.
how long has he been dead?
About a couple of hours. Let's see, it's 7:45 now. Say 6 o'clock, as near as anything.
6 o'clock, eh?
You can get him over to the mortuary as soon as you like. I'll make a post-mortem immediately.
All right, Doctor.
Good evening, Inspector.
Good evening.
Inspector Merton.
Yeah? Well, send for the ambulance, Owen.
Right up.
A man's fingerprints are on the right-hand glass.
Which we will assume for the moment are Corey's. What about the other?
The woman's by the look of it.
Well, examine everything carefully for counterprints.
Well, there's nothing on this.
Heavy enough to kill a man.
Gloves would hide fingerprints.
Gloves? A man wouldn't keep gloves on in the house.
Woman does.
Well,
Looks like a woman, and a pretty cool customer.
and a perfect idiot, according to you. She leaves a cast iron clue on the glass and is careful not to leave her mark on the paperweight. You belong to the right department, Fletcher. You jump to conclusions too quickly.
Well, what do you make of it?
Just that there's a lot of difference between suspicion and proof. Got everything? This is the last. Right.
Ambulance on the way, sir.
Good.
I refuse to be detained here any longer.
Detained, Mr. Sharman. I merely asked you to wait in case you could be of any further assistance to us.
I can add nothing to what I've told you already. That Mr. Corey telephoned me at 5:40 precisely, asking me to call here at 7 o'clock.
And you don't know what he wanted to see you about?
No, he didn't say.
That will be all. Thank you, Mr. Sharman. We shall want you at the inquest, but I'll let you know the time later. As the dead man's partner, Mr. Ives, perhaps you can tell me something about his mode of living. Was he a heavy drinker?
On the contrary, he drank very moderately. Mind you, I've known him go on the binge occasionally.
Had he many women acquaintances?
Well, naturally, a theatrical manager's business brings him into contact with a great many women.
Yes, of course, but I meant women friends.
Yes, he was rather fond of the ladies, if that's what you mean.
You still haven't any idea as to the identity of the young woman who came here with him this evening?
Not the remotest.
Had he any enemies that you know of? Anyone who might have a motive for killing him?
Not as far as I'm aware of. Mind you, all theatrical managers have hard things said about them sometimes.
I'm going back to the yard now, unless you want me further.
No, if you've covered everything.
I'll have the prints ready for you on your return.
Are you sure it's all right?
Of course it is. Corey won't be back until tomorrow. There's not a soul in the place.
Oh! Oh!
What's up with her? You can never tell with women.
Well, we're police officers from Scotland Yard. What are you doing here?
I'm Mr. Corey's valet.
Mr. Corey is dead.
Dead?
Been murdered.
Murdered? But this is terrible.
Who was that woman you brought here?
That lady is my wife.
She is his wife, Inspector.
All right. Sit down for a moment, will you? I'll talk to you later. Well, I won't keep you any longer, Mr. Ives. Where will you be over the weekend if I should want to get in touch with you?
I'm staying near Windsor. Telephone Dorney 3193.
Thank you. You got that, Lawrence?
Yes, sir.
Oh, don't hesitate to let me know if I can help in any way.
Thanks, I won't. Good evening.
Good evening, Inspector.
Oh, there's just one thing more, Mr. Ives.
Yes?
Did Corey advise you that he was returning a day earlier than he had anticipated?
No.
Then what brought you here this evening?
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you meant had he wired or written. No, he phoned to say that he'd got in from the continent and he'd like a chat about the business on hand.
He phoned you at the office?
No, I'm seldom there after midday on Saturday. He rang my home.
Thank you. Your name is?
Ridley, Matthew Ridley.
How long have you been in Mr. Corey's employ?
Nearly 3 years.
Can you throw any light on this affair?
Indeed, I can't. I'm utterly at a loss. I have been down to Mr. Corey's country cottage at Bellinghurst. I came back this evening to prepare for his return tomorrow. Poor Mr. Corey. How awful.
Why did your wife run away just now?
The shock of seeing you, no doubt.
Why, am I all that frightening?
I'm afraid she's highly strung. Thank goodness she didn't see the body.
Well, you better get after her then.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
How are you getting on?
I found these in the waste paper basket.
What are they?
Counterfoils of 2 dress circle tickets for this afternoon's performance at the Gerard Theatre.
That's all there is. Well, girls, I give you our handsome leading man.
The leading man.
He may not be good, but his lovely certainly is.
Come on, girls. There's a real party on the stage.
What's the matter, Jenny? Aren't you going down?
No, I'm going home early. I'm tired.
Me too. And I've 1,001 things to do before going away tomorrow. Oh, cheer up, kid. Things will look up. And anyhow, if they get too bad, you can always cable the folks in South Africa. You know, SOS, LSD, RSVP, LOVE. And don't forget the LOVE.
Well, I left home 3 months ago to make a name on the stage, and, well, I'm not going home until I have.
You've got guts anyhow, and that's a help. But you should worry. With Norman Ives that way about you.
Norman Ives? Whatever do you mean, that way?
Crackers, nuts, goofy.
Don't be silly, of course he isn't.
Oh, come off it, Jenny. You know he is. You can do anything you like with him, if you want to.
Well, I don't want to.
You ought to have your head examined. Well, what are you going to do?
I don't know. I haven't made any plans.
Haven't you fixed anything?
No, I went round the agents this morning, but, well, you know how it is. The same old story. Try again tomorrow.
Ever thought of being a dance hostess?
What, in a pen at a dance? 6pence per cuddle?
Sure sign of a last night. No towels anywhere. Hale at a dance? Oh, no, one of those ritzy places where they have wine instead of ginger beer. I was a dance hostess before this show at the Hotel Majestic, Birmingham. Oh, it was a cushy job. And the manager was a lamb. Not too frisky either. But I got homesick for the West End and quit.
What were the patrons like?
Oh, mostly tired businessmen who tread on your toes and treat you like a lady. Or nearly, anyway. They tip generously. Especially if you listen admiringly while they tell you how they had to work for 8 pence halfpenny a day when they were little boys.
I know the type. We have them in South Africa. They're quite sweet, really.
Oh, quite. You do this and say, "Oh, Mr. Murgatroyd, you must be very clever." That's worth about 5 bob a time to you. Of course, you mustn't overdo it. You take your cue from the gent.
Well, there's one thing I've learned about men. They're never short of cues.
You're telling me. Well, anyhow, when I heard this show was coming off, I wrote to Mr. Joyce, the manager of the Majestic, telling him I'd soon be in circulation again and saying, how about it?
And what did he say?
Oh, he wrote back immediately offering me a job. His letter's in my bag. Have a look at it. I've got an idea.
This it?
Yes.
Oh, an affectionate opening. He says his #1 girl's leaving to be married.
Yeah, I must send her a wreath. Well, job's open if you care to have it.
Oh, thanks, Maisie, but this letter's written to you, not me.
But I can't take it now I've landed this Paris job. So why don't you write to Joycey explaining things and mentioning my name? And send him a picture of yourself. He'd fall for that. You have a far more attractive pan than I have.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Of course you have.
Well, anyway, I haven't any photos. I didn't bring any with me, and I haven't had any done since I've been here.
Better have some done on Monday. And here, take this letter. You may need it.
Oh, Maisie, you are a brick. I don't know how I should have got on in London without you.
Oh, forget it. You're a nice kid. Far too nice for this jittery racket.
Thanks to you, I don't feel at all worried now.
Watson, go and phone the roof garden to reserve a table for 2.
Yes, sir.
Well, so long, Jenny. And the best of luck.
Goodbye, darling, and thanks so much for all you've done.
Oh, forget it. Send us a postcard and let us know how you're getting along.
All right, I will.
Goodbye.
Oh, wait, I'm coming your way.
Where to, Paris?
Don't be a gump.
Well, if it isn't the white hope of show business himself. String him along, dearie, but watch your step. Good night.
Jennifer, will you have supper with me? I want to talk to you.
Well, would you mind awfully if I went home early? I'm very tired.
Oh, Miss Hale, excuse me, sir. You didn't give me the key of your dressing room.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you, miss. Good night.
Good night, Bert.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Even if you're dog-tired, I've got to talk to you. We can sit in the car.
Is Mr. Harris finished yet?
I'll see, ma'am.
Jennifer, I always thought you were a sensible sort of person. Certainly not the type of girl to have anything to do with a man like David Corey.
Why, what do you mean?
I'll answer your question by asking you another. Some time ago, I sent you a pair of gloves, didn't I?
Well,
This is one of them, isn't it?
why, yes.
Heavens above, what on earth induced you to go with David Corey to his flat this afternoon? David Corey, of all people.
Well, how did you know?
I found it there. And it's perhaps a fortunate thing that the police didn't.
The police?
Corey is dead.
Dead?
He was hit on the head with something. The liftman, another man and I found the body.
But
The police have ascertained that a young woman whose identity is as yet unknown to them was in Corey's apartment early this evening. They seem satisfied that she was the last person to see him alive. It won't be long before they find out who she is.
But when I left...
Merton. Inspector Merton, he's on the case.
There's Ives in that car.
Sit back. I'll drive you home.
Hold him. I may want a word with him.
Well, hello, Mr. Ives.
Hello, Sergeant. It is Sergeant, isn't it?
Yes, sir, that's right, sir. Do you mind waiting a few moments? Inspector Merton's across the street, and he may want a word with you.
Of course, certainly.
Thank you.
You sit here.
You know Mr. David Corey when you see him?
You mean the Mr. Corey of Corey and Ives, the managers?
That's right.
Yes, I know both of them very well. Hang it on the board.
Have you seen him lately?
No, can't say I have. But I spoke to him on the telephone this afternoon.
What about?
He asked me to inquire if Miss Hale would meet him at the Cafe Blanche after the matinee.
Who's Miss Hale?
And the young ladies in the show.
She's still here?
Just gone, sir. I think she's outside now, talking to Mr. Ives.
Thanks. Good evening, Mr. Ives. I understand that you were talking to Miss Hale a few minutes ago.
That's the young lady in your car, isn't it?
Yes?
But I'd like to have a word with her.
What on earth for?
I thought you said she was in the car.
Strange she was.
Yes, very strange. Mr. Corey also knew Miss Hale, didn't he?
He'd met her. I introduced her to him, as a matter of fact.
Did she tell you by any chance that she'd seen him after the matinee this afternoon?
What are you getting at, Inspector?
I'm getting at this. I want to question her in connection with Corey's death.
Are you suggesting that it was she who went to the flat with him?
I'll ask the questions, Mr. Ives. Was there anything between her and Corey?
Heavens, no.
Corey went to the matinee with a man. Have you any idea who he was?
No, no idea at all.
How long have you known the girl?
Oh, about a couple of months. She only came over from South Africa about 3 months ago. I've taken a mild sort of interest in her, taken her out to dinner and that sort of thing.
Can you tell me where she lives?
Somewhere in Bloomsbury, I believe.
If you've taken her out to dinner, surely you've taken her home.
Oddly enough, I haven't. She's a retiring sort of girl, you know.
We'll get her address from the stage door, Owen.
Right.
Surely you don't think the girl had anything to do with that murder?
Who said it was murder?
the betting we don't find her.
But for that fool of a stage doorkeeper, we've been here 20 minutes ago. Good evening. Does Miss Jennifer Hale live here?
Yes?
We'd like to see her, please.
I'm afraid you'll have to call some other time.
I'm sorry. Another time won't do. We are police officers from Scotland Yard.
Police officers?
Now, there's no need to be alarmed, madam. We only want to ask a few questions.
Good gracious me, whatever do you want Miss Hale for?
I didn't say we want Miss Hale, my dear lady. We merely want to talk to her.
It's a pity you can't choose a better time than midnight.
Where is she?
Well, she's in her bedroom. She went up over a quarter of an hour ago. She's probably in bed by now. You better wait in here while I go and tell her.
No, to save time, we'll come up with you. If the lady is undressed, then we can wait outside her room while she puts some things on.
Oh, very well. But I tell you, I don't like this sort of thing in my house.
Oh, well, we'll make the visit as brief as possible, lady. Don't you worry.
Which is Jennifer Hale, this one? No, that one.
What can you do with that?
I can enlarge it, sir, but it won't be too good.
Well, do your best. A description and photograph must be in tomorrow's Gazette.
Right, sir.
Oh, Parker, we'll probably be able to pick up a better one from one of the theatrical agents on Monday morning, if that's not much use to you.
Very good.
Oh, Merton, what's your opinion of the case at this stage?
Well, since the fingerprints on the letter which the Hale girl left with her landlady tally with those on one of the cocktail glasses, we know beyond question that she had been in Corey's flat.
On the face of it, looks as if she struck him in self-defense. The old story. Lost her head and then ran away.
On the face of it. But why didn't she run away at once instead of going to the theater and then bolting hours afterwards?
Yes, that's a point, certainly. Well, a psychologist might provide the answer.
The whole thing on the surface is too obvious, too easy.
The sooner we locate the Hale girl, the better. Only the bare facts of Corey's death will be in the Sunday papers. I've instructed the press department to keep her name out of it for the time being.
Good idea. If she doesn't know she's being sought for, she'll probably come into the open all the quicker.
Exactly. But if she's not found within 2 or 3 days, we'll circulate her photograph and description to every newspaper in the country.
Oh, Page, take that paper to 305.
Yes, sir.
May I see the manager, please?
What name shall I see, madam?
Miss Dixon.
Oh, Porter. Ask the manager if you'll see Miss Dixon.
Yes.
Oh, you'd better say I'm a friend of Miss Brewer, Miss Maisie Brewer.
Very good, madam.
Come in. Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Joyce?
Yes. Won't you sit down?
Oh, thank you.
So you're a friend of Maisie Brewer's?
Yes. This is your letter to her. She told me to tell you she was too busy to write.
Aye, that's typical of Maisie Brewer.
Oh, she's one of the best.
Yes, we miss her here very much, and I had hoped she was coming back.
Oh, well, she's gone to Paris with a dancing troupe. You see, she was awfully keen to go because she's never been abroad before.
Well, I hope she'll get on all right, and that she'll like it. So she sent you here in her place, did she?
Yes.
Oh, well, she's not let me down yet. Can you start tomorrow?
Yes.
Let's see, what's your Christian name?
Mary.
Miss Mary Dixon. And now as to lodgings. Did Maisie put you onto any lodgings?
Yes, she gave me the address of a Mrs. Lamb she used to stay with.
Splendid. You'll be all right there. But if she can't put you up, come back here and I'll see what I can arrange. I'm sorry we can't accommodate you here, but it's against the policy of the hotel for the dance hostesses to live in.
Oh, that's all right. I quite understand.
Oh, now as to pay. Your pay is £2 a week, but of course you'll make much more in gratuities. By the way, have you any experience of this type of work?
Well, not actually as a dance hostess, but I've done modelling work, and my last job was in the chorus.
Well, perhaps I better give you a few tips as to...
Oh, that's quite all right. Maisie's told me all about the tired old businessmen who tread on your toes and ogle you and treat you as a lady, or very nearly anyway.
Just like Maisie. Well then, Miss Dixon, go and fix your lodgings, and if you're not back here in an hour or two, I shall take it that everything's all right.
Thank you.
Now, be here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, evening dress, of course, and I'll introduce you to the people you have to work with.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Joyce, and I do hope you won't be disappointed in me.
I'm not worried on that account. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Good morning.
Good morning, Inspector.
Sorry to bring you here on a Sunday morning, gentlemen. And I am too. Now sit down, please.
I'm only too glad to help in any way I can.
Thank you. Well, there are one or two points that I'd like cleared up if possible. As far as you gentlemen know, were the dead man's affairs in order?
Financially, do you mean? Absolutely. Since we've been in partnership, we've done very well, eh, Sherman?
As the firm's accountant, have you anything to say?
The firm is solvent, if that's what you mean.
Mr. Corey was a fairly wealthy man, wasn't he?
He had private means. As a matter of fact, he generally put his own money into our enterprises. I was, shall we say, the active member of the partnership.
Quite. We shall want access to Mr. Corey's effects and private documents. Incidentally, who were his solicitors?
Martin and Thompson, Lincoln's Inn Fields. In point of fact, Mr. Thompson has always acted for us.
Have either of you gentlemen thought of a possible motive for the crime?
Personally, I'm completely mystified by the whole business.
And I can add nothing to what I told you last night. As far as I am concerned, these interviews are irksome and time-wasting.
They are nevertheless necessary. Could that girl, Jennifer Hale, have had any reason that you might know of for desiring that Corey should be put out of the way?
The idea is utterly fantastic. Of course, she may have objected to Corey forcing his attentions upon her.
Has the girl ever complained about Corey?
No, but you must remember that she only met him once when I introduced her to him recently.
Was it a surprise to you when you heard that she'd been up to his flat?
Surprise would be putting it mildly. But there's one thing I am certain of, and that is that her motive for going to Corey's flat was not an improper one.
I see. Has she any friends in this country, to your knowledge?
Never spoken of any.
Then you've no idea where she might have gone?
Not the remotest.
All right, gentlemen. I needn't keep you any longer. Thank you for coming.
Oh, I'm catching the noon plane for Paris. Corey had some business there, but I shall be back on Tuesday.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ives, you can't catch that plane, and you must surrender your passport to the police at once.
Oh, may I ask why?
You will have to attend the inquest, which has been arranged for 2:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Heavens, I hadn't thought about the inquest. Well, I shall just have to delay my trip until Tuesday, obviously. Good morning, Inspector.
Good morning, Mr. Ives. Good morning, Mr. Sharman.
Cigarette, sir?
Oh, thanks. Get me Mayfair 03149.
You know, those two fellows interest me, sir. They're so entirely different. Sharman, a bundle of nerves, and Ives as cool as a cucumber.
All boils down to a question of background, I suppose. Ives is your debonair man about town, completely at ease in any situation, whereas Sharman...
I know. Now Roding Cricklewood's full of Sharmans. They mow the lawn on Sundays in the summer and do the crossword puzzles in the winter.
Ultra respectable, eh?
Yes. Finding himself mixed up in this affair and getting his name in the papers is making the old fellow lay eggs.
Hello, is that Mayfair 03149? Is that Mr. Ridley?
Oh, good morning, Inspector.
Any developments since we left you last night?
No, sir. Except I cabled Mr. Corey is to New York.
Well, I want to have another look round the flat and examine any personal documents that may be there. We'll be there in about half an hour.
Who's that?
I brought you a cup of tea, dear.
Oh, just a minute. Good morning.
Well, here we are. There's no need to lock your door, my dear. Maisie Brewer never did it.
Oh, it's just force of habit.
Well, how are you feeling this morning?
Oh, quite well.
Looking forward to starting work tonight?
Yes, I suppose I am.
Yes. Do you know, my dear, I haven't slept a wink all night. Thinking of that poor Miss Brewer.
Why, poor Miss Brewer?
Why, her being in Paris among all those immortal French people. And she was such a nice little soul, too.
Oh, I don't think Paris is as bad as all that, Mrs. Lamb.
Bad? It's worse than bad, but what I've heard of it, it's shocking. Fancy her being out there on her own.
It's unhygienic, that's what it is. See, they haven't caught the Corey murderer yet. Dreadful what a lot of murders have been done lately. It's getting quite an episodic, as you might say.
Yes, of course. Oh, Mrs. Lamb, I think I'd better give you something on account of the rent.
Oh, you needn't bother about that till the end of the week. If you don't want to. Of course, it's always welcome.
Oh, I think I'd better in case I see a hat or something.
Oh, just as you like, miss. Thank you very much. And I'll bring your receipt up when I bring you breakfast. Do you want to leave you the paper?
No. Oh, no. No, thanks.
No. I don't blame you. It's only full of murders, fighting and divorces.
These specifications are okay, Miss Stevens. You can go ahead with them.
Thank you.
Oh, and Andy, I want those elevations in the 6 o'clock burst.
I'm working with all possible speed, Mr. Seven. But I am, of course, anxious to avoid errors.
Of course, Andy, we don't want any mistakes.
Oh. Where's your backache?
In the drawer. Help yourself.
Good. Yeah, I said tobacco, not haberdashery. What's the idea?
Hmm? Oh, tobacco, of course.
Now, why the glad rags?
Oh, I've got a date.
Mr. Watson, will you look over these before I send them off?
Yes.
Hello. Who's going to a party tonight?
Oh, not me. This stuff belongs to Mr. Richard.
Well, if the whole world must know, I'm dining at the Majestic tonight. Any objection?
No, except that we promised Roberts we'd have this job completed by Thursday morning.
I know we did, and we will.
But we can't, Dick, not unless we average 16 hours a day in the meantime.
Well, you needn't worry. I'll see my side of it through.
Oh, well, it's not like you to neglect your work, Dick, so I suppose the engagement must have some importance.
Uh-huh.
From the symptoms, which include humming, whistling, and absent-mindedness, one is tempted to think there might be a lady concerned somewhere.
If it isn't a lady, what is it?
Oh, well, to save the peace, I suppose I better tell you the whole story. On the train coming back from London on Saturday night, I met a young lady. Well, go on, Miss Hall. Doesn't that give you an opportunity for one of your caustic observations?
You don't mean to tell me that you noticed a young lady?
It happens that I did.
Oh. Spring's very late this summer.
Go on, Richard. This is interesting.
Well, we got into conversation. People sometimes do on trains, you know. And I found her rather companionable.
This is where a little soft music should be played.
And so, at last, romance has entered your life. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I'm not trying to tell you anything of the... I'm simply telling you that she struck me as being a very charming young woman.
Is Miss Hall old enough to hear the remainder of the story?
Yes. She intimated that she was coming to Birmingham to get a job as a dance hostess at the Majestic Hotel. And that is where I am going tonight.
Don't you think you ought to learn to dance first?
No, but seriously, Dick, are you really going out tonight?
I've never been more serious in my life.
But hang it all, old boy, you don't know anything about this girl. She's only a chance acquaintance. It's like as not she only wants you for what she can get out of you.
And that's exactly what I thought you'd say. You know, the trouble is, Jim, you've got a provincial mind.
Oh? Well, if work before pleasure signifies a provincial mind, then you're quite right.
Well, all work and no play is making you excessively dull, Jim. Well, I'm off for a change of atmosphere, and that's that. Goodbye, Jim. I'm going to get dressed.
Say, won't you need the bits and pieces?
Oh, thanks. 1:11, so you like it? Well, Jim, don't get to bed too late.
I'll be lucky if I get to bed at all.
Cheerio.
You can take it from me, miss. I've known what it was to have to fight for my existence.
Oh, I suppose you have.
Yes. My father brought up a family of 12 and 30 shillings a week. And as a small boy, do you know what my great treat on a Sunday was?
No.
To share an egg with my sister. The rest of the week it was bread. Dry bread, mostly.
Oh, how awful.
Oh, I dropped your foot, miss.
No, it's all right, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Shall I take the parcel, sir?
Oh, no, thank you.
evening, sir. How many, sir?
Oh, one. Or I hope two.
Thank you, sir. This way, please. This way, please, sir.
Oh, this way.
Who's that? One of your specials?
Oh, I'm afraid I haven't any specials.
All ordinaries, eh?
Great, sir.
Well, put my name on the top of the list.
Quite comfortable, sir?
Yes, thank you. Oh, would you ask Miss Dixon to join me?
Certainly, with pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
A gentleman at the corner table wishes you to join him, Miss Dixon.
Thank you.
What's she got that we haven't got?
Oh, just the usual new brooms, sweeping clean.
Miss Dixon, sir.
Good evening, Miss Dixon.
Good evening, Mr. Seven.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
The Lord Mayor has kindly asked me to welcome you to Birmingham on his behalf.
The Lord Mayor?
Yes. The wine list, please, waiter.
Yes, sir.
That is for you.
From the mayor?
No, the corporation.
What is it, a present?
Well, I hope it's a future. Open it and see.
Why, what's the idea?
Well, it's a model of the railway carriage that brought you to Birmingham. I tried to buy the actual one, but the railway company wouldn't sell.
Too bad.
Well, after all, it's the railway company I've got to thank for the pleasure of your acquaintance.
Well, it was more than coincidence that I caught the train myself.
There you are. That proves we were fated to meet. Oh, thanks. Now, the Lord Mayor insists that we open the proceedings with a bottle of wine. Now, what will you have? A Burgundy, Barsac, Hock?
I don't know. I leave it to you and the Lord Mayor.
All right, then. Well, have a 74, please, waiter, and see that the temperature's right.
We take a pride in our wine, sir.
Now, consider yourself booked for the rest of the evening.
Oh, I don't know about that. Mr. Joyce, the manager, you know, may have made some other engagements for me.
Oh, I'll deal with Mr. Joyce. After all, he daren't offend the Lord Mayor. Shall we dance? Everything all right, Thomas?
Yes, Mr. Joyce?
What do you think of the new dance hostess?
She seems a very nice girl, bringing in good business, too, by the look of it.
I hope she stays with us a good long time.
She's made a good start anyway.
Splendid.
In my dancing, you'll gather I didn't learn from Pavlova.
I've no complaints. Compared with my last partner, your Fred Astaire and Jack Whiting rolled into one.
Oh, that's encouraging anyway.
Surely this figure can't be right. If that's 35, how can this be 95?
Well, of course, it's wrong on the face of it. Should be 85. Oh, I'm afraid I'm getting a bit nutty.
Why not finish for tonight? You've been at it since 8:30 this morning.
And so have you.
I know it's not my privilege to criticize, but it does appear to me that Mr. Seven walked out on you this evening.
Yes, I felt that way about it too, Miss Hall. But there it is. He'll soon come down to earth again.
Well, he's definitely descended in my opinion.
Hello. Don't you think it's time you people pushed off home? It's after midnight, you know.
Surely you're not going to resume work at this hour.
Of course I am. If I take time off, I'm prepared to make it up.
May I ask how long you think you can carry on for 24 hours a day?
It's burning the candle at both ends, Dick.
And the electric light.
Well, we pay for it.
You will.
Go on, shove off both of you.
All right, then. But if you want my opinion, I think you're a congenital idiot. Listen, I'll be back at 8:30, and I'll expect you when I see you. Good night.
Good night, you miserable old so-and-so.
Tell me, is she worth it?
Well, one day you'll meet her, and then you can form your own opinion.
Good night.
Or rather, good morning. To start with the right date, anyhow.
Here, wake up there. Come on, old boy, wake up.
Good Lord, I must have fallen asleep.
Yes, sleep is something none of us can do without.
Now, look here, Richard. How much longer are you going to continue this insane existence?
Insane? I've never been more sane or so happy in my life.
Well, show us some evidence of your sanity now and go home for some sleep.
I will when I finish this job. I'll be through in 3 hours.
You'll be through much sooner than that if you don't get some sleep.
Miss Constance Hall, you're qualifying for the nagging stakes. Got a towel, Jim?
Yes.
A cold swill and I'll be as right as a 9-pin.
Yeah.
What time will we finish tonight, Jim?
Well, that depends somewhat on you, doesn't it?
Well, I'll be cleared up by lunchtime.
Well, in that case, yes, by 4 or 5 o'clock.
Well, that's fine. Because you and this vinegary old spinster here are coming to the Majestic tonight with me to meet Miss Dixon.
Oh? Are we? Now, is this an invitation or some type of gangster coercion?
An invitation with an implied threat. I'm going to upset your ideas about Miss Dixon.
Would you like to go, Miss Hall?
Yes. I wouldn't mind.
All right, then, we'll accept. And if we can stop him from making a fool of himself any longer, we'll have done a good evening's work.
You're good, this, Jim. Take her out of yourself.
Oh, I'm afraid I can't share your enthusiasm, Dick. I prefer a game of darts at the pig and whistle much better.
You know, you've got to change your ideas. As a prominent businessman in this town, you ought to be seen in these places sometime.
Oh, I couldn't be fonder.
Jim, do you see what I see? Hello, Miss Hall. Commendably punctual as usual. If you don't mind my saying so, you look absolutely stunning this evening. Doesn't she, James?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
In fact, you look very, very attractive.
Thank you. When do we eat? I'm starving.
This way, milady. Well, how do you like it?
No.
Grand, man.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, madame. Good evening, sir. Your table, sir?
Oh, thank you.
This way, please.
Well, excuse me, I won't be a moment. Good evening, Miss Dixon.
Oh, hello.
I want you to meet my friends.
Oh, certainly.
This, Mary, is the indispensable Miss Hall you've heard me speak so much about. Miss Hall, Miss Dixon.
How do you do, Miss Hall? How are you?
And this is my partner in headache, James Watson.
How do you do, Mr. Watson?
Good evening, Miss Dixon. I hope I don't give you a headache.
Shall we sit down? We've just finished a job we've been working on day and night for weeks. And now we're in the mood for wine, music, and laughter. Am I right?
Well, wine doesn't agree with me. I think I'll have a light ale.
You'll have wine like the rest of the party.
You like being here? Oh, yes. The people here have been marvelous to me. I'm far happier than I ever thought I should be.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. Table for one?
Yes, somewhere quiet.
Yes, sir. This way, please.
Shall we dance?
Oh, yes, let's.
Will you excuse us?
Well, Miss Hall, dancing's not much in my line, but I'll risk it if you will.
Why not? I'm sure you can do better than some of these old ruins.
Who's the young lady over there in blue? Oh, that's one of our dance hostesses, Miss Dixon.
And the gentleman she's dancing with?
Mr. Severn, an architect, I believe. Been here every night since the lady started.
Well, when you get an opportunity, give her this and ask her to come over to my table.
Very well, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I never thought I'd live to see you on a dance floor, Jim.
No, neither did I.
And as for you, Miss Hole, you've been holding out on us. You're terrific. That's right. I give you a toast, that our work may bring us contentment, our leisure happiness.
Oh, thank you. Will you excuse me a moment, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
How about it, Miss Hall? Would you dare to risk a dance with me?
I love the unexpected.
Do you mind, Jim?
No, you carry on.
Well, what's the verdict?
On what?
Her?
Oh, she's a very nice girl.
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
She likes you.
Well, I hope you're right.
She ought to be happy, and yet something tells me that she's... Oh, I know it sounds a lame excuse, but... Well, I was thinking of my family in South Africa, and how they'd feel if they heard I was mixed up in a murder case.
I understand, of course, but in the eyes of the police, it's almost an admission of guilt. Jennifer.
Don't use that name here. Call me Mary. He was alive when I left him. You must believe me.
But of course I believe you. Have the police been here yet?
No. Every day I've hoped they'd get the murderer, and that I needn't be brought into it.
The police are looking for you. They're liable to find you at any moment.
How did you know I was in Birmingham?
I've just got back from Paris, where I met Maisie Birch. She told me you might be here.
Surely if you can find me, the police will.
Inevitably, that's what I'm afraid of.
Is that why you're here?
For no other reason in the world. Go back to your party, make your excuses, and get out of here as soon as you possibly can.
Aren't you waiting?
I've no time. I'm leaving on the midnight train for London, and I'll meet you at the barrier at 10 to 12.
It's stuffy in here. What about a breath of fresh air?
Oh, yes.
Ah, that's better.
What a marvelous night.
Why did you leave your smile behind? Come on, smile. Ah, that's much more like it. You know, Mary, you've got a sad sort of smile sometimes, but I like it.
I don't mean it to be.
You know, I dreamt about you last night. It's a long time since I dreamt about a girl. Thought I'd grown out of it.
I'm glad you haven't.
Honest? You know, I think we were intended to meet. Maybe the stars had a conference and they said Richard Seven must meet Mary Dixon. So it was all arranged and we met.
Do you believe in the stars?
I do now. Mary, I want you to believe that your happiness means a lot to me. When a person is very fond of someone, and I am fond of you, Mary, they become strangely sensitive to the other's moods. What I'm trying to say is that you seem terribly worried about something. Why don't you tell me what it is? There's nothing I wouldn't do for you.
I'm afraid there's nothing you can do.
Now, don't think me stupidly jealous or anything like that. But you don't seem to have been yourself since that man appeared. Or is it imagination on my part? Mary, I love you.
I'm not Mary Dixon. I'm Jennifer Hale, and I'm sought by the police in connection with the murder of David Corey.
Murder?
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Miss Hall.
I see the other half of the firm isn't in yet.
No, I expect he's sleeping late.
All ready for your meeting with Mr. Roberts?
Yes, and I'll be glad when it's over.
I'm sure you will.
Have you seen the papers this morning?
Why, anything interesting?
Look at that.
Well,
Does that photograph remind you of anybody?
not that I know of. What are you driving at?
Read that paragraph again.
The coroner today adjourned the inquest on David Corey. Corey was found dead in his London flat last Saturday, and the tragedy was discovered by the dead man's partner, Norman Ives, and 2 other men.
Do you remember last night? A man sent a waiter over to our table with a card for Miss Dixon.
Oh, yes. She went over and talked to him.
Yes, well, while you were dancing with Richard, I read that card. It was sticking out of her handbag. The name on it was Norman Ives. Now, look at that picture again.
Good heavens. It's like her. Oh, but how terrible for Mr. Seven.
Good morning, Miss Stevens.
Morning, Mr. Seven.
Morning, Andy. I'm sorry, Jim. I shan't be able to go with you to see Roberts this morning.
Why not, Richard?
I've got to go to London.
London? What for?
It's Mary.
You've seen the morning papers, then?
I knew before the paper report. She told me last night.
Oh, I understand how you must feel, but what can you do? You can't afford to be mixed up in a thing like this.
Well, Mary told me the whole story. She's absolutely innocent. Someone is hoping the police will pin this on her.
Now, look here, Dick. Let's talk this over calmly.
This is no time for talking. I must act. I told her I called for her this morning, and when I arrived, she'd gone. The landlady didn't know where.
Had she left no message?
No.
And what makes you think she's gone to London?
I don't know where she's gone.
But what's your object in going there?
To talk to that man Ives.
You mean Mr. Ives?
Yes.
Well, I appreciate your coming here voluntarily, Miss Hale, and I want you to rest assured that you'll receive every consideration.
Thank you. I realize now how stupid it was to run away as I did, but I lost my head.
No, I quite understand. You've put things right now. Now, I want you to cast your mind back to your visit to Corey's flat on Saturday evening. As I understand it, Corey told you that he wanted you to meet a producer.
Yes, that is so.
And when you got to the flat, there was no one there.
No.
Well, now, what happened after that?
Well, then Mr. Corey invited me to join him in a drink.
And you did?
Yes, he said the producer might be a little late.
And then he made his advances, which you objected to, and you left the flat.
Yes.
Well, how long were you in the flat altogether?
Oh, about 20 minutes, not more.
Now, I want you to think very carefully, Miss Hale. While you were there, did Corey use the telephone?
Yes.
Did you hear the name?
Oh, yes, a Mr. Sharman.
Can you remember the gist of the conversation?
Well, he asked him to call and see him about 7 o'clock.
Anything else?
No, I can't remember exactly, but... Oh, yes, he said something about crooked business.
Just a minute, Merton. Miss Hale, did Corey telephone anyone else in your presence?
No.
You're absolutely sure of that?
Oh, quite sure.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Merton.
Miss Hale, why did you leave by the back stairs?
Well, I didn't want the porter to see me. I thought he might misunderstand my visit.
Yes, I see. Now, reverting to Mr. Ives again for the moment. What was his object in wanting to see you after the show on Saturday evening?
Well, he told me he knew I'd been to Cora's flat because he'd found a glove of mine there.
That's something he didn't tell us, Merton.
No, sir. Have you any reference to that, Owen?
No, sir.
Yeah. Anything further, sir?
No.
Well, I think that'll be all for the present, Miss Hale. I'm afraid it'll be necessary for you to remain in London until we have completed our inquiries. Have you anywhere to stay?
No.
Oh, well, if you'll leave that to us, we'll make all the necessary arrangements. You know where to take Miss Hale, Owen?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Inspector, for all your kindness. I must say it hasn't been anything like the ordeal I thought it was going to be.
Oh, that's all right. Don't you worry. I think we'll be able to straighten things out very soon now.
Good morning, Miss Hale.
Good morning.
Goodbye, Miss Hale, and thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Girl has any more to do with the Corey murder than I have.
I'm sure of it. But she's told me something that I've been wanting to know. That's why I was so anxious to interview her.
What's that?
Well, in Ives' first statement, he declared that Corey had phoned him from the flat at about 5:45. Now, Miss Hale was in Corey's room at that time, and if her statement is correct, and there's no reason to doubt it, then Ives has deliberately misled us.
Yes, but Corey might have phoned after she left.
He might have, but I doubt it. If you want to phone two people to meet you at the same time, you ring one after the other, don't you?
Well, usually.
Of course, it's not evidence, I know, but it suggests to me that I'm on the right track.
Come in.
Mr. Sharman waiting, sir.
Send him in at once.
They're going to put the wind up that poor old devil again?
I'm worrying him on purpose. It may not be this time, and it may not be next. But sooner or later, he's going to work himself into a state of hysteria. And when he does, I'll wager he'll tell us something worth knowing.
Applied psychology, eh?
If you like.
Come in.
This persecution is inhuman and unbearable.
Strong words, Mr. Sharman. You are here voluntarily. But I must remind you that we're investigating a case of murder. And murder, Mr. Sharman, is the most serious crime in the calendar.
But I know nothing about the murder. Nothing, I'll tell you. What about Mr. Ives? Well, he knows as much about it as I do. In fact, he saw the body before I did.
Now, Mr. Sharman, we've been through all that. Sit down, will you? I merely asked you here to clear up 1 or 2 points in regard to the firm's accounts.
What else do you wish to know?
You have them, sir? That payment there to Mr. Ives, can you tell me what it was for?
No. The two partners didn't discuss their private affairs with me.
And your answer in respect to that entry is the same?
It is.
Now, these 2 cancelled checks, doesn't it occur to you that those signatures are a little bit irregular?
Surely if they were irregular, the bank would not have honored the checks.
Answer the question, please.
The signatures are quite in order, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Sharman. That is all I wanted to know.
I hope you won't find it necessary to ask me to come here again.
I hope not, too. Good morning, Mr. Sharman.
What does the bank say about these checks?
They're satisfied that none of the signatures have been forged. But what interests me is the reason for such large amounts being transferred to Ives' personal account. I'm not satisfied with his explanations.
Oh.
Miss Gordon, get me 2 reservations on the Paris plane this afternoon.
2, Mr. Ives?
That's what I said. Oh, and see that I'm not disturbed for the next half hour.
Very well, Mr. Ives.
Is Mr. Ives in?
He is, but he's given strict instructions he's not to be disturbed. Victoria 2211, Imperial Airways. Have you 2 seats on this afternoon's Paris plane? Right, will you book them in the name of Mr. Norman Ives of Corey and Ives Limited? You heard what I told you. Mr. Ives is not to be disturbed on any account.
Well, what do you want? I gave orders I was to be left alone.
So you're leaving for Paris, Mr. Ives?
I am, and what concern is that of yours?
And I'm to wait here, I suppose, to be bullied and badgered by those men at Scotland Yard. They had me there this morning for the 3rd time. And I can't stand it any longer. I tell you, I can't stand it any longer.
Oh, shut up and pull yourself together.
Oh, pull yourself together, eh? Perhaps it'll be my turn to say the same thing to you in a moment.
You know, Sharman, I'm getting tired of this.
Oh, listen to me. They're no fools, those men. It won't be long before they find out the truth.
Get out. I'll talk to you before I go. In the meantime, get yourself a drink and pull yourself together.
You promised me the entries would be corrected before the auditors came in. I beg of you to do something before it's too late.
If you don't want to face a charge of embezzlement, you'll keep your mouth shut.
I'd rather face 10 charges of embezzlement than endure this horrible suspense. But I warn you that unless you're prepared to put matters right at once, I won't answer for the consequences.
Will you get out? I want to see Mr. Ives.
Have you an appointment?
No, but that's not going to make any difference.
I'm afraid Mr. Ives isn't seeing anybody just now.
He's seeing me, and just now. And who the devil are you?
Where's Miss Hale?
This happens to be a private office, and we should have the good manners to go.
Where's Miss Hale?
And what is Miss Hale to you?
Everything, and I'm going to see her.
Oh, of course. You're the cigar head of the Majestic Hotel, Birmingham.
Yes, speaking. Oh, just a minute. 2 reservations on the afternoon's plane to Paris for Norman Ives. Yes. Do you know the name of the other passenger? Oh, you don't? All right. Hello. Inspector Merton gone yet? All right, see if he doesn't. Now I'll come down.
And if you'll take my advice, you'll put her out of your mind.
For the 3rd and last time, where is Miss Hale?
At the moment, I don't know, but I'm expecting her soon. Miss Gordon, those 2 reservations on this afternoon's Paris plane, Advise them that one is in the name of Miss Hale. Miss Jennifer Hale. So you'll have gathered there's very little point in your waiting.
Are you suggesting that she's going to Paris with you this afternoon?
I am.
You liar. What hold have you got over this girl?
As far as I'm concerned, she's a perfectly free agent. And now, if you don't leave this office immediately, I'm afraid I shall have to chuck you out.
I want to see Mr. Ives, please. I'm afraid he's too busy. Oh, I think he will see me if you send in my name.
Oh? What is the name?
Jennifer Hale.
Jennifer Hale?
I'm not leaving here till you tell me where she is. Well, what are you going to do about it? Get out.
Now perhaps you'll go.
Mary, what are you doing here?
This fellow seems to think he's privileged to prevent you going to the continent with me. So perhaps you'll mind your confounded business and get to blazes out of here.
You're not really going away with this man.
No, of course not.
And why did you phone to say you were coming here?
Because I want the truth.
What do you mean?
I want the truth about Corey's death.
What the devil are you talking about?
Just a minute, Mary. Are you suggesting that this man knows something about Corey's murder?
I'm suggesting he knows a great deal more than he's told the police. He wanted me to travel up to London with him last night. But I didn't. I took an early train this morning and went to Scotland Yard.
Did you tell them I'd been up to Birmingham to see you?
I did. And from the questions they put to me, I'm convinced they
This
think that you are the
nonsense
one...
has gone far enough.
If you've got nothing to hide, why didn't you tell the police you'd been to Birmingham? And why were you so anxious for Miss Hale to leave the country?
Mr. Ives? Ah, Mr. Sharman.
It's no use hounding me anymore. Ives is the man you want, Ives. He forced me to make those entries in the accounts.
Where is Mr. Ives?
In there with the Hale girl. Murderer and murderess together.
Now. Try a little restraint. Are you ready to tell us the truth about those entries?
Yes. I shall go mad if I don't. I'm not a dishonest man, Inspector. It's just that I was fool enough to trust Ives.
All right. Take him to the yard for a formal statement.
Come on.
What are you doing here, Miss Hale? And who's this gentleman?
A lunatic by his behavior.
I'm Miss Hale's fiancé.
He means he'd like to be. Miss Hale was going to Paris with me until this person butted in.
Is this true, Miss Hale?
Nothing could be further from the truth.
All right. I'd like you and this gentleman to wait in the other office.
Very well.
Mr. Ives, I have evidence that you made a telephone call from Corey's flat at 6:15 on Saturday evening. In other words, we know you were there when Corey met his death.
I didn't kill Corey.
I haven't said you did. Your statement that Corey had phoned you was false. You didn't expect him until Sunday evening.
Oh, really?
You were desperately anxious to get certain cancelled checks which the bank had sent Corey personally.
Is that so?
You entered Dovercourt Mansions by the back stairs and let yourself into the flat with a skeleton key.
Oh, did I?
Much to your surprise, Corey came in with Miss Hale, and you had to hide in a room adjoining.
Most interesting.
After Miss Hale had gone, Corey discovered you. There was a heated quarrel, and he told you that he'd sent for Sharman, and the game was up. You lost your head.
Your mistake, Inspector. That's one thing I never do.
You struck him with the paperweight.
Mistake number 2. He lunged at me and I socked him on the jaw. He hit his head at the edge of the desk as he fell.
You then phoned your servant to lay out a change of clothing, left unobserved by the back stairs, and cleverly timed your return to coincide with Sharman's arrival at 7. That was careless, that telephone call, Mr. Ives.
Well. And then what?
I must ask you to come with us.
All right. But I've already told you I didn't kill him.
That will be for the jury to decide.
You win, Sir Galahad. Good luck, Denny.
Goodbye, Miss Hale. Oh, don't run away again. Remember, you're an important witness.
Leave it to me, Inspector. I'll see she doesn't.
Yeah. So even murder cases have their compensations, eh, Miss Hale?